small town in Mississippi. And in the 10th grade, there was this biology teacher. And the biology teacher sort of took me under his wings. And he said, what do you want to do when you grow up? What career do you want? And I told him, I don't know, I think I want to work with computers. And so that was my first goal. I set my goal as to what I wanted to do in life. And then I had a mentor or a career coach, you'd say. He helped me map out my high school curriculum. He helped me get started with my ACT, get accepted into college. Then I went to college and I started my career in IT. So for the last 35 years, I've been able to live my dream. And all throughout my career, I've set goals. And each goal, once it's attained, I move to my next goal. And so that has been how I've moved forward in my career. I set the goals, and even in the career, in a professional environment, I also had mentors. So Coach Shelton was my high school mentor. I've had many Coach Sheltons throughout my career that have assisted me in guiding me and helping direct a path, and they had a vested interest in my success. So that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
Awesome.
Thank you for that question.
Yeah, so that's great, and that's really important to have mentors. So the question I have is, what is your best advice for someone looking to get into IT?
So if someone's very interested in IT, what I would tell them is to make sure they do their research, right? Because IT is a huge field. You've got database administrators, you've got analysts, and now we've got the buzzword cybersecurity, right? Lots of people want to be into cybersecurity. So number one, understand what you want to do. The second thing I'd say is exposure, right? Sometimes we want to grow up to be what we see, right? But how can we see more? Being exposed to more things. Participate in forums, participate in internships, anything you can to learn more about the field. And that will help assist you in making the choice as to which way you want to go. And then thirdly, of course, it's education, right? Make sure you go to college, gain that career, be the best that you can be. Because don't let anyone tell you you can't. Prove that you can, right? And I believe exposure, setting the goals, having a mentor is the best advice that I can give anyone seeking to move forward in an IT career.
Okay, so speaking of college, what college did you attend and what did you study?
Oh, I went to the University of Mississippi, hotty toddy, right? And I majored in computer science and engineering.
Okay, awesome. So what do your day-to-day tasks look like?
Okay, so you'll probably hear from lots of people that it's all meetings, right? And there are a tremendous amount of meetings throughout the day that you have to attend. But also I would like to make time to give back. So I've had people looking out for my career. I want to also look out for the career of others. So I do a lot of coaching and mentoring with different individuals at various levels throughout the company. And the last thing that I do, which is nothing I can plan, part of my role is supporting all the systems that FedEx uses across the enterprise. So that means when a system goes bump in the night or a system goes bump in the day, I may have to be on a call communicating with the executives the overall business impact of any problems that we have. So that makes for a fun day and a fun night too. So I sleep with my phone close by because I never know when I'll be on call and have to do work.
Wow, that's a lot. So where do you see yourself in the next 10, 20 years? What are your plans for the future?
So Maya, I'm gonna take you back. I answered that first question to say I've been working my dream job for 35 years. I'm gonna work my dream job for a few more years, and then I plan to retire. Right? I plan to retire, but at the same time, I want to do things that are more nonprofit and working with maybe some of the churches. I work with my church and I do a lot for my church now. So that is my plan for the next career, I guess you'd say.
Cool, that's awesome. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed the interview.
Thank you. Okay, so Carlton, how did you get to where you are now?
Well, it's an interesting story because my interest in computers actually began first with my love of music, and I can remember being pretty young and my parents buying our first game system. I guess at that time it was an old Atari. I think it was maybe a 5200 or something, but this old game system had the ability for me to actually program it to play music. And so I started the process of note by note constructing songs using that computer, not even realizing that I was writing programs.
Yeah.
And I continued to become more interested in doing that. And it was really about having fun at the beginning. Later, when I was in high school, my senior year, really had no idea what I wanted to do for a career at that time, but I was taking a math analysis class, and it was, shall I say, kicking my tail. And I asked the counselor if I could get out of that class and get into something else. And she informed me I was still short a math credit and said, you could take this programming class. This is the first semester it's being offered. First time we had ever had computers at our high school. And she said, you can get in there, but everybody else is having a hard time and they're trying to get out. Mm-hmm. And so I said, well, anything has to be better than this math analysis class. So I switched. And this was probably 3 weeks into the semester. 3 weeks later, I was teaching the rest of the class and the teacher how to program the computers, because it was just something that was natural to me, and I loved it. Fell in love from there. Met through a career day a gentleman that worked for a company, Bell and Howell at the time, and he mentioned a school in Missouri that they recruited from. And I immediately started looking into that school, and it happened to be a technical institute in Missouri Institute of Technology. And I ended up going there, and my career began from that point.
Cool. That's really interesting. So what is some of the best advice that you would give for somebody that's interested in getting into IT?
IT is a really, really broad field. So one of the things I would say is to really take a look at what the opportunities are. Everything from information security, securing our enterprise, to networking, things that are very hands-on, everything from cabling to connecting of devices and setting up systems, supporting users on the front end. Web development, mobile development, it is such a broad field. And so I would recommend that anybody, begin to look into the different parts of the IT world and see what would interest you. Do you enjoy engaging with people on a daily basis? Would you want to understand what a perfect design would be for an application? Or would you prefer to be in the background and creating the things that support, all of the IT work that goes on behind the scenes?
Okay. So with that being said, what do your day-to-day tasks look like?
For me in my role as VP, it's really about trying to keep the team on mission and keep everybody on the same page. It is making sure we know why we do what we do, and trying to keep the team focused on, meeting those objectives together. So it is, bringing the right people together, to make the decisions that solve the problems we need to solve and keep us moving forward. And my job individually, a lot of times is about how do we move barriers. And when the team is struggling with something, if they can't get to an agreement on something, my job oftentimes is to listen to the information, understand, how best to solve the problem based on that, and help the team move forward.
Awesome. So you just briefly mentioned what school you went to, but for anybody that kind of missed it, can you briefly state what school you went to and what did you exactly study?
Sure. I went to, initially it was the Missouri Institute of Technology, and eventually, or while I was there, it was acquired by DeVry Institute of Technology, which today you would probably know as DeVry University. I went to a location in Kansas City and I studied computer information systems, which is really a more business focused computer science degree. So lots of programming, lots of hands-on, which was, what I wanted at the time, and did a lot of programming that I think prepared me well to jump right into the industry and be productive.
Cool. Okay, so lastly, what are your next plans in your career? What does the future of Carlton look like?
April 1st makes 25 years for me with FedEx, and I've loved every year. I've actually had 35 years in the industry, and expect to put in some more. One of the things I'd really like to be able to do over the next several years is to help develop young professionals. I'd also love to be able to get back to my musical roots. I mentioned earlier on that music is one of the things that I love, and it was part of what connected me to computers in the first place. I'd love to be able to perform some around the world and see some of the places that I've not seen, and then perhaps do some coaching and consulting along the way. So lots left to do here, but want to be able to also get back to some of the things that got me started.
Well, that is awesome. I really want to thank you for your time today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya.
How did you get to where you are now?
All right, well, that's a great question. And so I'll say that there are 5 elements that I would call out for any level of success I've attained. Number 1 is prayer and faith. And number 2 is leaning into my gifts. Number 3 is education and counsel. Number 4, experience. And number 5 is support from others. So number 1, I grew up in a family where prayer and faith were our bedrock. They were our foundation. So I embraced that. So for anything that I'm trying to do or facing any obstacle, whatever I'm trying to do, I really do pray about it. So number 2 is leaning into my gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So that really means recognizing my gifts and my passions. All of us were born with innate talents and gifts. For me, mine was math and understanding how to dissect problems. And I want to stop and just say to you all as students, gifts, those gifts that we are given at birth, we don't do anything to earn them. So I can say I don't deserve a pat on the back for just being good at math. It's more about what I do with my gifts, how I cultivate my gifts, how I leverage my gifts. And so one way to leverage our gifts is through education, which is my third point. Education was second in our family after prayer and faith. My mom and my aunt were educators, and my dad didn't have a formal college education, but he had a strong work ethic, and they encouraged us to take school serious. So even with all of that encouragement, I really didn't know, when I got to high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to study. But I had wonderful teachers and counselors that helped me figure out what to go into based on my gifts. So I was encouraged to go into the STEMs. And I was actually advised to study engineering by some wonderful educators. I took that counsel, I took that advice, not really knowing much about it. And I ultimately received my bachelor's degree and my master's degree in electrical engineering from the University of Memphis. Yay, Tigers. And so the number 4 item is experience. After going to college, then I started a career at RCA as an analyst programmer. I was applying what I learned in college, And then I left and left RCA and came to FedEx and started a long career where I gained a whole bunch of experiences in a whole bunch of different areas that gave me a whole bunch of different looks at the company. And I was always curious. I stayed curious and anxious to learn and gain new experiences. And my last point is support from others. I had so many people who believed in me along the way. My husband, my parents, my children, and yes, some wonderful coworkers and leaders at FedEx that felt and knew that I could do the job. So I want to say to you guys that it does take a village of support to do anything that we do.
Awesome. And what is the best advice that you have for anyone looking to get into IT?
So IT stands for information technology, and we are living in an information age. And you guys know this better than me, but the biggest source of information today is the computer. So a lot of IT work involves the computer. It involves logic, it involves calculations. So I would advise any student that wanted to get into IT to take the STEM classes, just like I was advised. Take the math, take the computer classes, take the vocational classes, and the introduction to engineering classes that are offered. I would also advise that you leverage the internet. Google can be your friend. Explore topics and learn how things work.
Right, right. As far as you being a director at IT, what does your day-to-day task look like?
So my day-to-day tasks are very interesting now. As a director, I'm no longer programming and building out systems, but now I lead and build teams who do that work. I have a lot of meetings, and most of them now are on Zoom. We discuss, we plan, we make decisions. And additionally, I spend a lot of time communicating with my team, with my peers, my partners, and my boss, even outside vendors, to make sure that we are all connected and on the same page. Communications and alignment are very, very key in a big company. I spend time with my team coaching and mentoring FedEx team members. And I still have a lot of work to do on the computer, but it's different. It's more emails, creating presentations, spreadsheets, Word docs. You know, Microsoft Office is our friend.
Amen. Great, great. What school did you go to and what did you study?
So I went to the University of Memphis. It was called Memphis State when I went there. I studied electrical engineering. And so I was blessed to get my bachelor's in electrical engineering and my master's in electrical engineering with a concentration in computer systems. And then I started to work and I started on my PhD, but I didn't finish, but got busy working and starting a family and all of that.
Great. And what are your next plans in your career?
So that's another great question. My plans for the future include perhaps serving as a director in another area to gain more experience, as we talked about before, you know, just experience in the FedEx business. So I'm always looking to learn and gain more experience, perhaps seeking a VP role, and definitely in continuing to study and to learn. I've gained an interest in data science and data analytics. So I want to pursue that and study that. And with the pandemic, I also developed an interest in public health. So I believe the areas of data science or data analytics could lead into work in the public health arena for me at some point.
So how did you get to where you are now?
Well, it was quite a journey. FedEx was not my initial was not the initial start of my career. I actually right out of the college worked for a number of larger companies, then worked for smaller consulting companies. Finally, in moving to Memphis, worked for a small consulting company for a while, and actually then sold real estate full time for 2 years before joining FedEx as a contractor on the pricing side. Worked in pricing business for a few years before moving to the IT side of the house, which is my original background, of course. And have been working now in my current role for less than 2 years.
Awesome. Okay. So speaking about IT, what is your best advice that you would give someone that wants to work in IT?
I think three main items that I would say in terms of advice. First is do your research. IT is a very broad field. A lot of times we only hear about one or two particular aspects of IT, but it is extremely broad. So do your research, find an area that works best for you. Second, I would say find someone that you can learn about the career from. There's probably somebody in your church, friend of the family, someone you know in as teachers or administrators, someone they may know that can help you and guide you and direct you. And then three, I would say prepare, right? Based on or your research, based on what you learn from mentors, then prepare yourself based on what you learned from those folks.
Awesome. So what do your day-to-day tasks look like?
I'm in a lot of meetings. That is as a manager, that's one of the key functions is to meet with various people. But I like to think of my role in kind of three aspects. That is up, across, and down. So starting with the down, in terms of guiding my team, directing them, meeting with them, ensuring that all of their responsibilities are going as planned. Across, collaborating and working with my peer managers, not only in my organization, but then my business partners as well. And then up, and that is communicating to my leadership. So making sure that those functions that are under my team's control and those functions that are under my control are going as planned, and that my management is aware of them and escalating to them when necessary.
Cool. Awesome. So what school did you go to and what did you study?
So I started off my academic career at Jackson State University, Sonic Boom of the South. I got my bachelor's of computer science there. I then received a master's of computer science from Georgia Tech. And then after joining FedEx, I decided to complete my educational goals, and I received an MBA from Dowling College.
So what does your future look like?
My future, I think, looks like continuing to work at FedEx and ideally being promoted. Would like to become a director and ultimately a VP here at the company. I think FedEx is an excellent organization to work for. There is opportunity for lateral as well as vertical growth, and so that's what I'm looking for and hope to attain here at FedEx.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. So hi, thank you for joining us. So tell me about how you got to where you are now.
Okay, well, where I am now, right now, I am program manager advisor at FedEx, but I did kind of take, I would say, the long road, because in school, I'll start with high school, I really didn't know much about computers. My family didn't own a computer, and then for my senior year, I had to take a class, and I was the most confused person in the class, and I remember my classmates making fun of me. In the summer, though, I worked at the nursing home. My mom, who's a nurse, and they had me work in the office, and I realized I'm really good, believe it or not, at that point I was good at doing things on the computer. I had great administrative skills, and I wanted to be in an office environment. So when I went off to school, I didn't declare a major initially. It took me about 2 years, and when I talked to my guidance counselor, I told her what I enjoyed. And I had those 2 summer experiences working at the nursing home in the office. And she's like, well, since you like computers, why don't you go into management information systems? So at that point, I declared my major, management information systems, and I actually did pretty good in the classes. So anyways, I got my degree, and my first professional position was at the help desk at MCI. And then from there, I went to work at the FAA doing system administrative type work. And I believe that opened the door for me at FedEx, because I was able to learn, I can't even remember the language now, it was some kind of system back then that's not even prevalent now. I gained experience, and I got a job at FedEx. So, and then once I got here, I moved around a couple of times, and that's how I got where I am now.
Cool. That's interesting, and I didn't know that. So what is your best advice for somebody that's looking into IT?
So my best advice is to be very curious, ask a lot of questions, and intern if you can. I really think that exposure is very important. I didn't know to do that. So I want to encourage everybody else to ask questions, intern, if you can shadow somebody, and just be open, because there's so many fields in IT.
And what does the day-to-day tasks look like for you?
So like I said, I'm a program management advisor, which is pretty much project management type work. So I'm in a lot of meetings, facilitating meetings, and the goal of those meetings are pretty much to meet some type of goal, a timeline. I help with compliance. I put together, not out of a meeting, but just another thing I may have to do is put together what you may hear people refer to as a deck, which is PowerPoint. So I have to be able to communicate, and pretty much I work as a liaison between the more technical people and the business.
Yeah. So that's interesting, because we have, our roles are identical, but just different titles. So that's very interesting. What school did you go to, and what did you study?
I attended the University of Memphis,
Okay.
and my major was management information systems.
And lastly, what does the future look like for you?
For me, and what I desire is to go into management. I do program and project management, but I do want to help people be successful. And I just want to start off by asking you, how did you get to where you are now?
So for starters, I want to talk about how I never even envisioned myself in technology at all. I remember in high school, my science teacher, she kept talking about STEM careers. So that was really, that kind of got my mind going, because I went to college, and I always knew I wanted to study business. So when I went to Georgia State, there was all these different business majors, and I just remember the teacher talking about STEM, so I researched some of the STEM careers, and then there was computer information systems. So I talked to my advisor, and that's how it really got started. And then also how I got to FedEx. I was, I think, in my junior year, and they had a career portal, and then I saw that FedEx posted an internship, and so I just applied, and I ended up getting it. So
That is wonderful. Okay, what's the best advice that you have for anyone looking to get into IT?
So I think the best advice would be to get an internship, to do your research, and to get a mentor. So all those three things have really helped me get to where I am today.
And you're doing very well.
Yes.
What does your day-to-day look like?
So there's a lot of meetings, but there's a lot of emails as well. For the first part of my day, I like to kind of split it up. So the first part, I do stand up, and then I work on my compliance, and then a lot of project management things that I work on. And yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like.
Okay, good. So how long have you been in your present position?
It's a year and like 8 months. It'll be 2 years in August.
Okay, good. So my assumption is that you have plans for the future. So what are those plans?
Really just to move up within the company, and also promotions as well, and just to see, what opportunities present itself, and just to move up in the company.
Okay, so would you say you're just kind of wide open?
Yeah, for the most part. I would like to also get my MBA in the future, so.
Okay, that would be great. Okay, well, thank you.
All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself and let us know how you got to where you are now.
My high school guidance counselor, my math teacher, and my mother, they all said, oh, engineering, computer science. So I started Christian Brothers. But no, I decided I wanted to go to nursing school. So I left Christian Brothers, went to nursing school, got in that field, decided, this is not for me either. Being in a hospital environment, I felt like I need to help the sick people. That wasn't it. Then I thought, okay, I'll travel the world. Now, mind you, all of my friends in computer science gone off to school. They kept going. I got a detour again, didn't listen. Thought I wanted to be a flight attendant. So I did that. I'm going to travel the world, see what that's like. And then all of a sudden, I thought I'm serving the people that are seeing the world. I'm not making the money to travel. So here I go again. My girlfriends and friends, they're getting ready to graduate now because I took the detour. And they showed me what they're getting ready to make in IT, which is the salary that I wanted. So I thought, okay, I should have listened to my guidance counselor, my math teacher, and I did. I got back in Christian Brothers. I followed that path to computer science. I graduated. I got a job as a program analyst, a business analyst. I was a technical writer, and now a project manager, Scrum Master Advisor.
Okay. So you went to Christian Brothers, and what exactly did you study?
I went to Christian Brothers University and I studied computer science and telecommunications.
Awesome. So what is the best advice that you would give the students that is looking to get into IT?
It's so broad, and IT is really one of the best paying professionals and jobs. But I would give them the 80-20 rule, which I have used in my business and professional life. The 80% is to do something in IT that you enjoy doing. And the 20% is to keep that going to do what you enjoy doing. Now, when you get out of high school and into IT, it's so broad, you're not going to know what it is that you like doing. But you may like programming, coding. You may like a system analyst. You might not like webmaster. You may like creating apps. You may like taking a computer apart, looking at the brains in it and seeing what makes it work. And then you may also be the one that like the cables and the cords on the floor, and you're setting up a new office and you plug it all that in. You may like information security, protecting data. So it's a lot of avenues that you got to think about what it is that 80% that you really like. And again, you may not stay in that area. You may evolve into some other areas. But while you're in that 80%, the 20% helps you get to the 80%. The first thing I would advise is get a degree. Get a college degree and certification. That will set you apart from your competitors when you get ready to be promoted. Feed that 20%. The 20% is to keep growing and invest in yourself. And then you will be pleased and happy with what you're doing in 80%. So I like the 80-20% rule. And that has worked in professional life and your personal life.
Awesome. Well, that definitely helped me, and I'm in IT too. So thank you so much. My next question is, what do your day-to-day tasks look like?
My day-to-day task, I am a project manager / Scrum Master Advisor, which is another aspect of project management. My day-to-day task consists of, I have 19 team members on my team, and we're on a project, and all of those 19 people are from a diverse culture, background, all kind of IT skill sets. I meet with them, first of all, every day. But first of all, I meet with myself and say, I'm gonna make this a great day. And productive day. Then I meet with my team. With my team, we have 3 questions, that we answer. What did you work on yesterday? What are you working on today? And do you have any risk or impediments that, that I can help you with? And once you answer those 3 questions, that helps not just me, but it helps your teammates. We actually have a tool that we're looking at, so I know what you're working on, but we evolve around that tool. And I also have other tasks in meetings that I obtain. So once my project management Scrum Master is my main team that I do, but I'm also a member of what we call the Culture Action Team. That's a team that promotes happiness throughout a corporation. We don't just work hard at Federal Express, we play hard too. We may have to put on a talent show, we do community outreach work, we build Habitat House, we work at St. Jude. So I enjoy coaching and mentoring.
I attended Arkansas State University and received a Bachelor of Science degree in computer science and began my career in computer operations at Arkansas State University. Eventually, I became a COBOL programmer, and then 10 years later, I moved to FedEx as a mainframe COBOL programmer. and have moved around at FedEx through different jobs in IT since then. The best advice I would give to anyone looking to get into IT is to just take advantage of any computer courses offered to you throughout your high school career, and even, actually do your own research and go out there and find other ways to gain exposure just to anything technology, and just be a sponge and soak it up and learn as much as you can about technology. In my current position, I work as a project lead, which works with our business teams to find application solutions to meet our current business needs. I also lead these development teams to deliver these IT solutions for our business partners.
Hi, my name is Chris Lockhart, and I'm a software support engineer. How did I get here? I kind of always saw myself in IT from 7th grade moving forward. I picked up small interests like robotics team. I started looking at battle robots and wondering how they built them. Um, there was just a lot that went into my hobbies, and that's how I end up being in IT. For advice, anyone that wants to get into IT, if you have a specific focus that you like, or if you have interest, I would say pick up some books, look at some shows, look at some YouTube videos, try some of the stuff at home if you can, because the more exposure you have early on, the better it'll be later on. Look out for people who can mentor you. Look out for people who are doing what you want to do, and ask them how did they get where they are. Yeah, meet people, network, and you'll definitely get where you want to be in IT. A day to day for me is it varied from job to job. Uh, Currently, my day to day is overseeing a team of about 4 or 5 support engineers. I triage cases to them, I create bugs, and I organize those cases at the end of the quarter for a quarterly report to present to my manager and my team so they can know exactly how we performed for the last 3 or 4 months. That's what a day to day looks like for me. I went to Oglethorpe University, Atlanta, Georgia, and I studied computer science for about 2 years. And my career plans, I've been doing support for 6 years, so I'm moving into a more programming development role with my next career, in hopes that I can actually utilize my programming skills. That's what I'm hoping to do over the next couple of years, is move out of support. So hope that answered all your questions, and yeah, happy to be here.
Hello, Chris. Now, can you kind of talk to us about how certifications kind of played a role in your current job, and the career path that you took?
Okay, I can definitely do that. Currently, I'm working for a company that deals with transactions, and they use primary Python, JavaScript, and a few other languages to handle those transactions. I recently got certified in Python about a year ago. The reason I did that was because my previous company actually used it for automation. Um, I thought it was something that I was going to be using a lot more, and I needed to have more of a grip or understanding of it to utilize it better while I was at that company. And since being certified, and it's opened up a few other doors. Python isn't the only one that I'm certified in, though. There's some in-house certifications for Alfresco. It was my very first company that I received, and they helped kind of propel me or keep me at the company, kind of solidifying my place there as not replaceable or easily removed. Um, Certifications have, since that job, been something that I've looked into both for my company, inside my company, and moving forward into something that I want to deal with, because primarily I like programming. I've looked into Python, JavaScript, I even have a book on C++ that I'm looking into getting certified in too, just because something that I've always wanted to do was create video games. And that's something that a lot of companies, video game companies, ask you about. Are you certified, or do you have any working knowledge of C++? So yeah, to answer your question, certifications really do play a good part in where I've been, where I want to go, and where I kind of see companies moving forward as far as the tools that they utilize.
Great, and good to hear that, Chris. It's good to hear from someone that's speaking from a kind of non-traditional kind of background, and I understand that you know, your certifications, he played even more of a bigger role than education on some of the jobs that you applied for. And I think that's good for our students to understand that, you know, sometimes you can be self-taught and get these certifications and qualify for jobs that even some certain degrees won't qualify you for.
Right, right. Having that experience is nice, but also having something that you're interested in, and to the point where you get certified in, it really does show that go-getter attitude, that grit that a lot of people are looking for. Someone that's willing to learn. That's all I hear in interviews is we want someone that's willing to learn or take initiative to move forward and just handle stuff by themselves. And you going out and getting your own certification is one good way to show companies that.
Great, thank you, Chris. We appreciate your time today.
No problem.